Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Mid Atlantic Championship Wrestling Review Series. This is the July 24th edition of the program. Uh, some new stuff. Honestly, some kind of interesting formations, guys returning. Seems like Mid Atlantic has guys coming in and out on a more regular basis than other territories, or main stars that aren't there every week, something like that. Less oversaturation than current day product for sure. Anyway, Leroy Brown, who has joined the stable of the House of Humperdinck, is here. Humperdinck says he's offered him a six-figure deal to do exactly that, and won't go into more details, but six figures to have a wrestling deal there. Imagine just that people believed that back in the day, that guys were making that kind of money. Anyway, Leroy Brown is a pretty imposing individual at the time, and he is a decent enough heel that he can make things happen. He goes in there, as mentioned, in an enhancement match role here. His opponent is Keith Larson. They have, I don't think, done business. Brown had been in a couple times before as a babyface. The turn itself is kind of abrupt, with Humperdinck being the guy that initiates it, for lack of a better term. But the theme throughout the next 2 weeks is that Leroy Brown doesn't care about black, doesn't care about white, cares about green, aka the color of money. Keith Larson, with some new tights, kind of taped up a little bit, takes a bunch of punishment, and Leroy Brown punches, kicks, basic stuff, not exactly a bunch of high spots, does hold on to the arm, uses his power, and wrestles in modified overalls and other basic things, big body slams, and tries to take him down. Beats up on him for a good bit, doesn't really stop the assault, and eventually we see Ricky Steamboat run in to make the save for Larson post. Uh, Jay Youngblood and Steamboat to kind of come in and make a bit of a save. Steamboat, the majority of the one involved there. And there's a brawl between Steamboat and Leroy Brown. Uh, you know, Humperdinck says that Steamboat's an idiot for doing it. Not necessarily sure that that's the feud I'd put Steamboat in, but anyway. We go into the next in series of matches here, which happens to be a reason for me to grab my phone. And we'll be back in two shakes of a lamb's tail with more of this. We then see a pretty consistent run with Piper and Morocco. Interesting team against Davis and Jacobs, Abe Jacobs. Interesting run there in the sense of, basic stuff there. They work over the leg of both one of the enhancement guys. I believe it's Jacobs for a good bit. Morocco punch kick and even does a dive off the second rope on the inside in a figure four. And then Piper hops down and goes right after it. The promise that the House of Humperdinck was going to take complete control is a pretty big promise, but it's one that is put forward. Then we see an enhancement match with handsome Jimmy Valiant. Jimmy Valiant being in this position is significant in the sense that Jeff Sword is the opponent. Also, Sword's been around before, but also with Humperdinck being out and talking about Koloff, the continuation of the feud that started in '81 between Valiant and Koloff is here. Valiant with a couple of arm drags, but that's about the most athletic thing he does. He's juking and driving and dancing all around to the best of his ability, but certainly not exactly doing much more than that with Jeff Sword. There is the another interview where there's a promise of a Russian chain match and other weapons matches between the the man that is Ivan Koloff and the Russian Bear and Jimmy Valiant. Valiant promises to put an end to him and Koloff once and for all, and there's a brawl between those two guys, and Valiant runs in and interrupts their promo, promising to get rid of Ivan Koloff once and for all. Somewhere down the road in the not too distant future, we go off to the Next in the series of matches, Sergeant Slaughter and Tim Horner, Slaughter a multi-time U.S. champion by this point, hangs on to the arm, does Horner. Very basic maneuvers and match here. Horner got a little bit more weight on him than the last time we saw him a few months ago, but the fact remains Horner's still an underneath guy. Slaughter does a good bit of selling, and a multi-time U.S. champion can get a good match out of anyone at this point. He does come up with what amounts to be a pretty snug looking clothesline and gets a victory in pretty quick order. Promises that there is going to be a team between Piper and Flair. Does Slaughter post match. Slaughter also, during his match, hits a modified release slam there, and Slaughter basically says that any team that's there, there'll be less of a run. Also, Wahoo McDaniel comes out with a leather strap, tries to strap Slaughter, and there are going to be some U.S. title matches there. Dave Patterson comes out with Ken Tims. They've been teaming on and off. Patterson talks in Spanish the majority of his promos. Exactly why they do that, other than to get heel heat, doesn't really make sense, because I don't know that there would have been a huge Latin market in the Carolinas at the time. Probably just to get heel heat. The 80s, certainly a different time. We go to another series in the tag, or in the match series here. This one is going forward to Patterson and Tims versus Briscoe and Steamboat. Briscoe and Steamboat realigning their friendship a bit here. Arm drags, arm bars, and such by Steamboat. Steamboat also managing to hold on to the arm as Briscoe comes in via the second rope on the inside. Manages to stay with Briscoe a little bit. Does Dave Patterson. Kind of more a filler match than anything else. Briscoe still wants to be at the top of the food chain, so to speak, as does Steamboat. Steamboat manages a shot, and of course we saw him earlier with the interference in the match with Leroy Brown when Brown got out of control. Briscoe comes back in and starts brawling with Tims. Tims bounces around, although a very light guy. Lots of energy in the match, and a double chop by the babyface team, and Briscoe gets the victory for the team soon thereafter. Also, there's a roll-up and eventually a win for the babyfaces. But, I mean, it's a pretty cool deal. Also worth mentioning, a decent suplex by Briscoe. Tims is allowed to kick out of Briscoe's suplexes and other offensive maneuvers, which is surprising at the time. The promise that Piper and everyone else is going to get eradicated in the next little while is a pretty big deal, and that seems to be the main focus for Steamboat and friends. We'll close there, but we'll be back with more right after this.